Labha Girivaradhari Shodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Vanachari Hera Jamuna Hera Vanachari Hera Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Janaballabha Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Jamuna Hira Vanachari Hira Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Radha Madhava ki Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paschachara Satarine. Yes. Okay. Mangala Mai. What a nice name. Full of Mangala. Mangala Mai, Meenakshi. Hare Krishna. Full of auspiciousness. So we're text 11 today? So we are reading about the marriage, in these verses, about the marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. And this is the third canto, this 22nd chapter. And this is text 11. Tat praticha Dvijagramenam Yamemam Shadhayo Paritam Maya Sarvatmananurupam Anurupam Te Grihamedishu Karmashu Tat praticha dvijagmemam Shadaya pahitam maya Sarvatmananurupam te Grihamedishu karmasu Tat praticha dvijagmemam Shadhayo pahitam maya Sarvatmananurupam te Grihamedishu karmasu. Sarvatmananurupam te Ladies, children, aliens, invisible demigods, nobody? Okay. Word meanings. Tat, therefore, pratitcha, please accept, Dvija agra, O best of the brāhmaṇas, Imam, her, Shraddhaya, with faith, Uparitam, offered as a presentation, Maya, by me, Sarva Atmana, in every way, Anurupam, suitable, Te, for you, Grihamedishu, in the household, Karmasu, duties. There, was that Hindi or what language? Hindi? Telugu. Telugu. English? Telugu. Hindi? Nowhere. No Hindi? Hindi nay. English here? How do you say here? Iha? Iha? Ya. Iya? Or ya? English, ya. Telugu? Va? Wa? That way. Okay. Translation. Therefore, please accept her, O chief of the brāhmaṇas, for I offer her with faith, and she is in every respect fit to be your wife and take charge of your household duties. Would you like to repeat? Therefore, please accept her, O chief of the brāhmaṇas, for I offer her with faith, and she is in every respect fit to be your wife and take charge of your household duties. Purport. The words grihamedishu, karmasu mean in household duties. Another word is also used here, sarvatmananurupam. The purport is that a wife should not only be equal to her husband in age, character, and qualities, but must be helpful to him in his household duties. The household duty of a man is not to satisfy his sense gratification, but to remain with a wife and children, and at the same time attain advancement in spiritual life. One who does not do so is not a householder, but a grihamedhi. The words are used in Sanskrit literature. One is grihastha and the other is grihamedhi. The difference between grihamedhi and grihastha is that grihastha is also an ashrama, or spiritual order. But if one simply satisfies his senses as a householder, then he is a grihamedhi. For grihamedhi, to accept a wife means to satisfy the senses. But for a grihastha, a qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement in spiritual activities. It is the duty of the wife to take charge of household affairs and not to compete with the husband. A wife is meant to help, but she cannot help her husband unless he is completely equal to her in age, character, and quality. That last sentence is very interesting. Actually, all the sentences are very interesting. But that last one is really interesting. Because Prabhupada said the nature of the man is he always wants to be in control. But Prabhupada's saying, at least here, Devahuti was very qualified. Yes? She's a princess. Highly qualified, all good qualities, beautiful, chaste, and so on. And the Prabhupada's saying that unless the husband has those qualities of the wife, he doesn't have the right to be served. Isn't that what it said? Let's read it again. Maybe I misunderstood. A wife is meant to help, but she cannot help her husband unless he is completely equal to her in age, character, and quality. That's interesting, because we always look at it the other way. You know, the husband is like glorious, and the wife has to kind of look up and keep up with him. Here Prabhupada's saying that a man, basically he's saying a man shouldn't marry a woman who has better qualities than him, because then she won't be able to look up to him. And it'll make it difficult for her to serve him if she is more qualified than him. That's why it's a disaster. Shastra says it's a disaster. It won't work if a Kshatriya marries a woman of a higher caste, or a Vaishya, or a Shudra. You always want to marry equal or lower. The man can marry a woman who's lower, but the woman, if she marries a man who's higher, it doesn't work. Just like you take a guru, but what if you're more Krishna conscious, more knowledgeable, more advanced? would make it difficult, wouldn't it? The Guru is always in a superior position. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Swami Baladev Subhadra ji ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. This verse is interesting for women because if they want to get married, they'll think, okay, am I better than him or is he better than me? And this verse is dangerous for the women who are already married who think that they're better than their husbands because they'll say, why should I serve you? I'm better than you. And not exactly what Prabhupada means, but still at the same time, he is saying that for a woman or for anyone to serve a superior, the superior actually has to be superior. And that's why we have difficulty, all of us, in some way, will have difficulty serving a superior who's not actually superior. Right? Just like, politicians somehow or other, they get your votes, they manipulate the public, and they're in office. And most of them, or many of them, are not respected simply because they have the title, minister this or minister that. Yes? True? But if they have the qualities of a Rajarshi, they'll be respected, and you'll naturally want to serve them. So it's very difficult to serve someone unless they're worthy of being served, right? Just like you should serve your mother and father. And it sometimes happens when you become a devotee, your mother and father say, don't become a devotee. Just make a lot of money. Yeah? Common, right? If you become a devotee, then what will happen with your life? And do that when you're older, don't do it now, and so on and so forth. So we want to listen to our parents, but some things we can't listen to because they're against the principles of bhakti. So it makes it difficult. They say, you should respect me. Yes, I respect you. I just can't listen to what you're saying. It's kind of a problem, right? What to speak of our parents who have no connection with bhakti. Prabhupada said we should respect them, but he never said we should listen to them. So if you are in a superior position by the arrangement of Krishna or the natural arrangement, if you're in a superior position, you have to be superior. Otherwise, it's a paradox. Yes? So, in marriage, men are naturally given the superior position, but it doesn't always mean they act that way. And if they don't act that way, it causes a problem for the woman. So sometimes men will say, you should serve me because I'm your husband. It's right there in Shastra. The wife should serve the husband. Yes? You should serve me because I'm your father. You should serve me because I'm your mother. You should serve me because I'm your mother-in-law. That's another one, a problem sometimes. Yes, I will serve you, but act like a husband, act like a father, act like a proper mother. Then I can serve you. Yes? Act like a king. Then I can offer my respects to you. The king says, Shastra says you should honor me like God. Yeah, but you have to represent God. And one of the biggest problems that the Indian population faces is gurus who are not actually gurus, who demand surrender by their disciples. Sometimes people would ask Prabhupada about a guru, and he would never say, I'm a bona fide guru. He would say, the Shastra describes what is a bona fide guru, and then you read the Shastra. Don't assume that I'm bona fide. Maybe I'm a cheater. Maybe I'm not bona fide. You should know what is bona fide, and then you should determine, am I bona fide or not? That was Prabhupada's response. When Prabhupada said, surrender to a bona fide guru, these are the qualities of the bona fide guru, he never said, and here you're listening right now to a bona fide guru. He never said, I am bona fide guru. Sometimes he even said, Krishna will never cheat you. I may cheat you, Krishna will never cheat you. Of course, we know Prabhupada would never cheat us, but he was taking that humble position. And that's actually the qualification of a guru. Right? So if we take that in the same way, a husband will never say, I'm the husband, do what I say. But he will act as a husband. He'll have all the good qualities of a husband, and then the wife naturally will want to follow. But otherwise, if you demand it, it's not what this verse is saying, it's not the example that Prabhupada has given. Of course, we have the other example. We sometimes tell women, even if your husband is a rascal, number one, just do what he says, because that's your Sri Dharma. Yeah. We have the examples of many great ladies who followed their husbands, even though their husbands were not the greatest personalities. So that's there. But in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said a devotee woman does not have to follow a husband who is not following Krishna consciousness. So, if your husband wants to engage you in sinful activity, should you follow just because it's your Sri Dharma? Well, if you're a devotee, it's the same thing. It's like your parents telling you, don't become a devotee. You can't follow that. So, but I think we should take this principle in general. If we're ever in a leadership position, don't think you become qualified because you have the post. You become qualified because you become qualified. Now, I don't know if you know the history of ISKCON, but after Prabhupada left, 11 of our godbrothers took the position of guru. And Prabhupada had appointed 11 people to initiate on his behalf when he was ill. And those 11 people became guru. And the understanding at that time was that Prabhupada had appointed them. And along with that understanding was a false understanding that by appointing them, it was like the magic wand had touched those 11. So the day before Prabhupada left, they were our godbrothers. And the day after, they were exalted, faultless, pure devotees. Because Prabhupada had appointed them, and that was it. They were in a whole new category, far, far, light years above us, because Prabhupada had appointed them. This is what we thought. I don't want to say they were thinking that, but that's what we thought, and then we made them think that. If they weren't already thinking that, we made them think that. And so we soon found that no, the spiritual master gives you the blessing to fit in the shoes of that position. But that's different than, boom, touching your head, and all of a sudden you have all the qualities. Right? It's much different, isn't it? You have to fit in the shoes, walk in the shoes. You understand? So many of those, or some of those gurus, had thought, yeah, we're special, we're pure devotees, everybody else is not. That's why Prabhupada appointed us. And so that was failure. And many of them failed in that position. So that was a demonstration that when the guru puts you in a position, now you have to wear the shoes of that position. There's another example. One time a devotee asked Prabhupada, you've given many men sannyas, but some of them have fallen down. Prabhupada gave 45 men sannyas. I think 17 are still sannyasis. And the others couldn't make it. That's a lot. And so this devotee had seen the sannyasis fall, and he said, Prabhupada, how is it that you've given men sannyas and they fell? Didn't you know they were going to fall? Couldn't you see that, or why did you do that? And Prabhupada said, by giving them sannyas, I put them in the perfect position to advance, and they misused it. So it's not that by giving sannyas, oh, Prabhupada is magic wand, you're a sannyasi, Yesterday, not really a sannyasi. Today, now you're a sannyasi. No, but it's become. Become. Now I'm giving you the opportunity to become. And this was always our understanding when we took initiation, especially when we got second initiation. Every time the phone goes off, 100 rupees has to go in the handi. Okay? New policy. So if your phone goes off, just go put 100 rupees in the handi. Otherwise, some demons might attack you tonight. And you'll have dreams of phones going off. And you won't be able to sleep. So, when we were given initiation, specifically second initiation, I was given initiation, second initiation I got 8 months. I got it 5 months after my first, and that was 8 months after I had moved into the temple. And that was 11 months after my first connection with Krishna consciousness. So, I wasn't raised a Vaishnava. I was raised a hippie. It's like the antithesis of Vaishnava. So, and then 11 months later, I'm given Diksha. So you think I'm like a Brahmin, like I can chant mantra, Om Tat Paramam Param. You know, you think I Om Purnam Para Purnam Idam Purnam. You think I could do that? No. I could play Beatles songs, I could do that really well. But chanting mantras and pujas and this and that, nobody knew that stuff. Not that kind of Brahmin. But the kind of Brahmin that Prabhupada was wanting us to be, at least was someone who was in the mode of goodness, someone who was clean, someone who was following good sadhana, and someone who could teach Krishna consciousness, and then to further develop your Brahminical qualities over time. Learning Shastra, becoming expert in Siddhanta, learning Samskara, Yajna, and learning more advanced forms of puja, even maybe learning Sanskrit and like this. So we understood Prabhupada was giving us entrance into that Brahminical life. Here, I'm initiating you as a Brahmin because for so many months you've been following these principles steadily, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Now you're situated in Sattva Guna, we'll give you this thread. That was the beginning, not the end. You understand? Okay, now you're on the path, just like when my daughter was learning to ride a bike, we took off her training wheels. I said, now you're going to ride. I said, I don't know how. And I just pushed her. Because if you're going fast enough, then you can balance. So I just pushed her, and then she was balancing. So that initiation is like that. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said initiation is momentum from the Guru. That's what it is. It's not perpetual momentum. So I pushed my daughter, she got the momentum and she could pedal. So initiation is like that. Okay, now I pushed you, ride the bike. Now I pushed you into Brahminical life, you're set up, my well wishes are there, you have this process, become a Brahmin or become a sannyasi. So in the same way, it's not that when a man gets married, he inherits all the right for the woman to do whatever he says and serve him. Although the woman, she wants to do that. But I can tell you from experience, and this is going to become more and more evident as India becomes modernized, if it's not already happening now, and I'm sure it is, but it'll happen more. It's extremely difficult for a woman to serve a husband the way Shastra says she should serve, unless the husband is a good devotee, has good qualities, is humble, kind, generous, compassionate, and so on and so forth. We have the same problem when someone in ISKCON is given a position of authority. Okay, now you're the temple this. Oh, I'm in charge of people. That means they have to do what I say, right? Because I'm in charge. Now you're in charge of the kitchen. Okay, do what I say. Now you're in charge of the temple. Okay, do what I say. Now you're the president. Okay, do what I say. It's not like that. The actual understanding is, now you're the leader. Okay, now You have to become a bigger servant than you've ever been. You have to become more humble than you've ever been. And to think, just because I'm in charge, everything I say is right? No. You have to do whatever I say. On paper, yes, that's how it works. But internally, in terms of culture, it's not exactly like that. Right? You come to your temple authority and say, Prabhu, I'm sick, or I just sprained my leg, I can't walk. No, you must go on Sankirtan. No, but I can't walk. Doctor said it's bad for my leg. No, you're arguing with me, you must do what I say. It's not like that. It's like that in theory, on paper. But in real life, when you become a leader, it's not that you think, now nobody can deny you. Nobody can say no. That everything you say is right. It's not like that. Everything you say is right if everything you say is right. If you say something that's wrong, it's not right just because you have a title on your door. Yes? It doesn't work. We'll lose people that way. We have a challenge in our movement. People come and people go. And this is one of the reasons. There may be many reasons. But people will go if you say you're right when you're wrong. People will go if you have a position of authority and you don't act with the integrity that position of authority demands. Yes? That's just human nature. That's the way the world works. And Prabhupada used to criticize us. He said, now I'm giving you Brahman initiation, but we see the Brahmins, they're not clean, they're not getting up early, they're not living like Brahmins. He said, and we are criticizing the so-called Brahmins, the two paisa thread. We criticize them. Brahmins by birth, but not by quality. How can we criticize them unless we are perfect Brahmins? Yesterday I was reading a letter, amazing letter, beautiful letter. And Prabhupada said, when you preach, you have to judge. You have to tell somebody, this is wrong, this is right. We don't want to judge. We don't want to be judgmental. We don't want to be discriminatory. But we have to compassionately judge when we preach. We have to state, pravrittim cha, navrittim cha. You do this, you don't do that. This is pious, this is sinful, this is bhakti, this is against bhakti. You have to say those things. And then Prabhupada said something very important for us. He said, to preach you have to judge, but unless you follow what you're preaching, how can you judge? It is a paradox, it is a contradiction. I cannot tell you to do something unless I do it. So this is a very, very important letter, because Prabhupada is saying, you cannot preach without judging, but you cannot judge unless you are following the instructions that you're giving others. I have a funny story. I was there when this happened. It was very funny. So, we have a sannyasi in our movement, and when he was young, he was thinner than me. But 5, 6, 7 years later, he became big, like maybe like this, like big, like wrestler big, From a little thin stick to a big overweight sannyasi. I don't know why. Maybe it was DNA, maybe it was Mahaprasadam, maybe it was both. I think probably both. So, he was overweight. You could see he was overweight. Everybody knew he used to be thin. It was obvious. That was obvious he was eating too much. So, he's giving Bhagavatam class, and the verse and the purport are about renunciates eating too much. And he was kind of personifying it in his physical form. That I am a sannyasi who's eating too much. He couldn't hide it. It was like, he was eating too much. You could see it. He's very funny, and he's very intelligent, and he's very clever. He's a real comedian. So the purport is all about how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta became very concerned when he saw his disciples and renunciates becoming fat, because it meant they were indulged in sense gratification and they were eating too much. That's what he has to read. Could you imagine? So you know what his class, you know what he said after he read it? He said, "No comment," and he read the next verse. He couldn't say anything. Yes? But he's funny. And so he's okay. He got away with it. But that was Prabhupada's point. So it's very important, not just for householder life, but for any authority. If you're given the position of authority, with it comes the responsibility to live up to that position. And the mistake we make is that when we get the position, we think, that's all I need is the position. Oh, now I'm guru, I can go to sleep. Now I'm husband, I can go to sleep. Now I've got a position in the temple, I can go to sleep. Now I'm GBC, I can go to sleep. No, it's actually it's the opposite. Now you have this position, so this is really important that you live according to the qualities that that position demands. Not thinking that everyone has to follow you because you have that position. A very, very important point. And this mistake is made. It's a common mistake. And I used to say that I think what would be really good if we established a culture in ISKCON that when you become a leader, whatever it is, GBC Guru, Temple President, Temple Commander, whatever leading position, with it comes some kind of menial service. So if you're the temple president, that means once a week you have to wash pots. If you're the temple commander, once a week you have to wash toilets. If you're, obviously you're not going to force your guru to do anything. But, Gurudev, we have new policy, you have to clean the temple, But that culture is very healthy. Otherwise, the culture is, oh, I want to become this, then I get the Mahaprasad served by 5 brahmacharis, and accompanied with massage of my feet. But we want to create the culture that when you go up, you become more of a servant and you become more humble. That's very important, because if we don't have that culture, it's going to be very bad for the people in charge, and it's going to be bad for everybody. Who wants to be a sannyasi? Well, in the old days of ISKCON, everybody. There were 2 reasons. One, they didn't like their wife. And number 2, if you're a sannyasi, you got your own room and you got all the Mahaprasad and 1 servant. And in ISKCON, in those days, no brahmachari had a servant. No brahmachari had their own room. And no brahmachari could get all the Mahaprasadam. If you take sannyas, and no, the 4th benefit is you didn't have to manage. In those days, sannyasis, if you were a temple president, GBC, whatever, you took sannyas, that was it. Sannyasis did not manage, they just traveled and preached. They got the Mahaprasadam, they got a servant, they got their own room. It was the life, right? Except there was one problem. They didn't know that sannyas life meant you have to be more austere than everybody. So the ones who didn't know they had to be more austere, they were writing Prabhupada, let me take sannyas. This household life, it's trouble. If I can take sannyas, it's the life. It's beautiful. And then Prabhupada saw this as a problem and he said, no, sannyas life means sleep less, eat less. Oh, Prabhupada, I don't want to take sannyas. Better I stay grihastha. So when you enforce what really sannyas was, no, not the bed, you sleep on the ground. No, you go to bed later than everyone, you get up earlier than everyone. That's what sannyas life is. Yeah. No, you get a little maha, but we're just going to give you simple prasad. Traditionally, that's what sannyas is, right? If you go to the Swaminarayan people, those sannyasis, wow. They're powerful because they're austere. But us as young boys thought, oh, sannyas means the maha, nice room, servant, you don't have to listen to your wife complain anymore. And so many of those sannyasis fell down because they didn't do tapasya. So, we don't want to think when we get a leadership position that it means more sense gratification. It means more austerity, more service. And here Prabhupada is saying, very important point in the purport, he's saying, don't think that grihastha life is for sense gratification, it's for spiritual advancement. He said grihamedi life is for sense gratification, but we're not grihamedi, we're grihastha. So no man or woman should think, oh, this is great, I'll get married and I can increase my sense gratification. That's not the point of grihastha life. It's not the point of any ashram in Krishna consciousness to increase sense gratification. The point of every ashram is to make advancement. And that's why Prabhupada's making the point, it's an ashram. Think of grihastha life as an ashram. And ashram means a place to make advancement. So, if you are grihamedhi, yeah, then it's not an ashram, it's just sense gratification. Right? Nice, comfortable life, sex, sexual enjoyment, lots of money. That's grihamedhi life. The grihastha life, no, it's different. So, nobody should think, oh, I'll get married and then I can enjoy sense gratification. And then my wife, she'll do whatever I say, and my husband, he'll just pour money on me and jewelry and clothes and big home and servants. It'll be beautiful. And we're not supposed to think that way. We're supposed to think, together we will serve Krishna, we'll serve the brahmacharis, we'll give money in charity, we'll do so much seva together, and we'll help one another. That's how we're supposed to think. So very important. Gentlemen, Prabhupada says the male ego wants to control everything, be in charge, right? But now you're devotees. So don't be like ordinary men when you get married, but you have to be humble. Now you have to take care of your wife. She's a Vaishnava. You can't just order another Vaishnava around. You have to be respectful. Right? Please, could you bring me some prasadam? Bring me prasadam, I'm hungry. Ah. No, we don't want to be like that, I'm the husband, you have to do whatever I say. Yes, darling, I'll do whatever you say, but half the time what you say is really stupid. Do I have to do that? Yes, doesn't matter. No, we're not like that. We're not proud. We admit that sometimes we say things that may not be exactly perfect. Yes, sometimes we make mistakes, obviously. So that's a Vaishnava. We're not foolish. Because we have some position, it means everything we now utter is pure. There's no magic wand when you become a husband. Everything you do is pure. Even for the guru, he has to become qualified. The sannyasi has to become, everyone has to become qualified. Yes? Does that make sense? Yes? No? Satyam hai? Okay. So why don't we stop here and see if you have any questions or comments or disagreements. When I give a class like this, it's the men who have the disagreements, not the women. The women are like, wow, that was a good class. The men are like, I didn't like that class. Just kidding. But sometimes it does happen like that. So if you have any questions or comments, yes. We have a microphone. You will get a microphone in a minute. You want to turn the microphone on? It's on? No. I can't hear you. Can someone turn that mic on? Does someone know how? Or you'll have to come closer. Hare Krishna Hare. The green light is on? We'll have to relay what you're saying. It's hard for me to hear. No. Some of these men will hear, and then you speak, and then they'll tell me what you're saying. Okay? Or you come to the front. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yeah, let's come over here. Hare Hare, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Oh, it's here?
Yeah.
Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, I have a small doubt actually.
Okay.
See, there's a Maharaj from South Africa. He's called Maharaj from South Africa.
Yes.
Last year, just to please him, I spent 1.5 lakhs on him. This year, he visited my place. He was staying with me. I have an office, I run an office actually. He was staying with me. And I thought of pleasing him by spending at least 2.5 lakhs this year. But you know, there was one devotee who took him away from my office. Right now, that Maharaj stays just in my campus only, just beside my door. There is one more door, and I belong to my house owner only. He stays there, and I don't know what happened, what went wrong. That Maharaj doesn't allow me to come inside his house now. Actually, my house owner has a big compound, a very big compound. So that Maharaj stays just beside my door, and he's not allowing me to come inside.
Why? You want me to tell why?
When I asked him why, he said, no, ladies are not allowed to come inside.
Yes.
Actually, I belong to Chaitanya Gaudiya Maharaj.
What?
I belong to Chaitanya Gaudiya.
Yeah. That's the, well, sannyasi should never be alone with a woman. That's the principle. So if you come with another woman, then, or another man, your husband, then it's okay. Also, it may not be a problem for him, but it's part of the sannyas dharma, and it's what the public expects. And if somebody finds out, then, Facebook, and so you understand we have to, as a leader has to act in a way that people will have faith in him. And even though it may not be a problem for him and nothing happens, but if someone sees that, they may lose faith in him or criticize him, which would not be good for them, or wouldn't be good for anybody. So there's an etiquette. And, Prabhupada tells the story that there was one woman who wanted to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and she was the age of his granddaughter. And she said she wanted to speak alone, and he said, I can't. I'm a sannyasi. You know that story? Yeah, he was a granddaughter. He said, no, you speak in front of the other people. She said, no, it's private. He said, no, speak in front of the other people. I'm a sannyasi, I can't. So, yeah. It's an etiquette. It's, we have to follow the etiquette.
Maharaj, I have one more doubt.
Okay, one more doubt.
I'm visiting ISKCON since, I think so, 1.5 years or 2 years. I don't remember the exact date when I came to ISKCON.
Yes.
So I have passion towards Lord Krishna very much, Maharaj. I love him a lot. I can't express my feeling. So just in front of the gate, I used to put rangoli. And there was one woman, she came all on her own, and she said she won't put rangoli. She put rangoli, and she kept a purse there. I thought the purse, if it is kept outside, she might lose some money. And I took the purse inside. And inside, when I kept the purse, there were no cameras inside the gate. I don't know the cameras are outside. I don't know the cameras. I thought she would be secure because cameras would be inside. Cameras were outside, but cameras were not inside. And she lost 500 rupees. So most of the people in ISKCON say that I come to ISKCON habits to make money to steal some things. She lost 500 rupees. I don't know how much she lost. I went to Vataraj Prabhu. I told him, Maharaj, see, you have cameras. You can find out.
Yes.
Who has told me the 500. So I don't come to them just to serve and just to make my affection. I just come here to show my affection towards Lord Krishna by putting rangoli, because Lord Krishna loves rangoli very much. So that is the reason, and I'm feeling very bad. Then I went to Lord Hanuman temple just beside this temple, Maharaj. There's Lord Hanuman temple. There, what do you say? The temple president was saying, Mataji, you please don't come to our temple in Hanuman temple because you have stolen 500 things in ISKCON habits. He says, oh my God, what mistake I'm making. Why did I go to Abbas ISKCON actually? I thought, Maharaj, because he says that someone from Abbas ISKCON came to that president, Hanuman temple, just beside this temple is Hanuman temple, Maharaj. He says that one person from ISKCON came to our temple and says that you have stolen 500 rupees by putting Rangoli seeds. So please don't come to our temple. He was saying that Hanuman temple president. I don't know where I'm going to. I never did anything wrong, Maharaj. Actually,
Yes.
initiated by Chaitanya Gaudiya Maharaj.
Well, yeah. What? I mean, there are many things can be said, but one thing can be said. At least this is how I think. There's so many things going on in this world which may not be right or perfect or good. And we all know that, yes? Especially in Kali Yuga. That's why Shastra says, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Isn't it? Everywhere you look, it's just everything. Isn't it? And it keeps getting worse. And the news just gets worse all the time. Isn't it? As Kali Yuga progresses. And you're looking for some light somewhere. And it's hard to find. A few good people trying to save the earth, do some good, make some sacrifice. And when we see these things, or these things happen to us, then our thought process is, things are really bad. This world is really bad. My only shelter is Krishna. My only shelter is Prabhupada. And to try to make things perfect here, or right, it may never happen. One time, we were telling Prabhupada, not me personally, but I was there at the temple, devotees were telling Prabhupada, you know, we're eating these food and it's contaminated, they put this and that in the products, they put this and that in the milk. They take oil from fish, they put it in the milk. That's the milk we were using for the deity. And we're telling these things to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, in Kali Yuga, everything is contaminated, you won't find something pure. And so, when we see that, when we realize the only thing pure is pure bhakti, the pure holy name. And we accept these other things as part of Kali Yuga. Maybe it's my karma, that, you know, maybe in my last life I wrongly accused somebody, now in this life. Krishna's testing me, my faith. So many things, you know. Everything is it's like we want things to be perfect. We want justice, and it doesn't exist perfectly that way. And I was actually thinking of this verse recently, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan, because even in our ISKCON, even in our own life, things aren't always perfect. Sometimes a devotee will do something wrong. Sometimes a husband or wife will do something wrong. Sometimes a leader will do something wrong. In a society where nothing should go wrong. And if it's going wrong here, you can imagine, what about out there? You know, all the corruption that's going on in various organizations when you start to investigate. And just like with our Donald Trump, he was doing okay before he was president because no one was investigating him. Now they're investigating him, and it's just one thing after another is coming up, and you find so much dirt. And you imagine if the average person's life was investigated, how much dirt would come up in everyone's life, you know. When you were 16, you stole this. When you were 18, you did this. When you were 21, you cheated on a test, you know. When you were 24, you lied to your boss. And when you were 7, you told a big lie to your mother. And so Prabhupada, so that statement, I see it as like a mantra. Prabhupada said everything in Kali Yuga is contaminated. And you know, you want purity and you don't always get it. Even in a place where you would expect it. Because here, this is like a hospital. And sometimes people complain about ISKCON. And I say, but that's like going to the hospital and complaining people are sick. I went to your hospital. There's so many sick people in your hospital. There's not supposed to be sick people in your hospital. No, we're supposed to cure the sick people, but before we cure them, they're sick. Here, we're in the hospital. We're not on the stage of prema yet. We're in the hospital. So there's so many devotees here who are not yet pure, and sometimes even as devotees, we might do something that's not exactly right sometimes, because we're not pure. Kala dosha nide rajan eko hi asti mahagunan kirtanadeva krishnasya. There's one good quality, the Hare Krishna mantra. And I think, I'm glad you brought this up, because when we discuss how impure the world is, it makes us appreciate the Maha Mantra is pure. It's the only pure thing. That's in Kali Yuga. Like, this is the price you pay for getting the pure Premanam in Kali Yuga, is you have to live in Kali Yuga. Amidst all the impure things, you have to live in the ocean of faults to get the one thing that's better than you can get in any other yuga. Isn't it? So we look at all these things, and for me, all these things, they push me towards Krishna, because I think, look at this world, it's so bad. You know, you want to make it paradise, and you can't. You get married, you want to make that perfect, but there are problems, and even as a brahmachari there are problems, in sannyasi there's challenges, you know, whatever you do, right? Isn't it? And yesterday, my wife sprained her arm, and my daughter sprained her ankle, and I fell on the stairs and banged, you know, it's like, wow, you know, it's like, isn't it? At least we're still alive. We didn't crash in a car or anything. But you understand? So that's the beauty of the holy name, that despite all of this, we have the holy name. Asti Eka Mahagunan, one good quality in Kali. Everything else is just bad. One good quality. So Prabhupada's saying everything is pure. Everything's impure. And you know, the Brahmins are chanting their mantras. How pure are their mantras? How pure are their yagyas? Right? How pure are their hearts? It's like, wow. Isn't it? So where will you find that purity? You'll find it in the Mahamantra and in your own heart, chanting purely. And in Prabhupada's words. And then we're doing our best. In the intentions of the devotees. So devotees have good intentions. Sometimes they don't always do things properly, but that's how I see it. And so when bad things happen, it's just, get me out of here, Krishna, I don't like it here. Help me take as many people with me. Let's go back to Godhead. Yeah, it's really bad here. Isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's... Even in America, it's bad. Don't worry, America's not so great. I mean, it wasn't so bad until Trump. Now it's really bad. I mean, Americans are going absolutely crazy with him. They're going nuts. And Americans are very stressed out. Life there is very stressful. And it's very expensive. So even in America. And Prabhupada joked once, he went to Hawaii. Hawaii is an island. And it's always nice weather, beautiful beaches, beautiful ocean. It's very relaxed. And he said, this looks like a remnant from Dwapara Yuga. You know, it's like another age, you know, it's just, you know, you can go anywhere and just pick fruits and eat. And Prabhupada said, there's no happiness in the material world. But if there is any happiness in the material world, it's in Hawaii. So maybe you have to go to Hawaii. You had a question? Yes, yes.
Thank you for a thoughtful class.
You're welcome.
As a subordinate, it looks very nice, like my authority should be qualified, then only I follow. But as a authority, we see many times subordinate want to reject authority. They don't want to follow.
Yes.
And in this world, things are not always black and white.
Yes.
Always gray too. So how we can see as a...
You're talking from the position of an authority. If you're an authority and people under you don't want to follow you, what do? Oh, that's easy. You just beat them up. I just read, and I have two verses from Shastra. One is from the Garuda Purana, and one is somewhere else, where, you know, if subordinates, you know, they don't follow you, you know, to make things, you know, malleable. Malleable means to get them the way you want. You beat them. So it says you beat a drum, you beat artisans, you beat this, you beat so many people. You know, yeah. So that's just beat them. Any other questions? In There's actually a shloka like that. Tulsidas also, he talked about beat a drum, beat a wife, Prabhupada said, it sounds like he didn't have a very good relationship with his wife. He's saying you should beat your wife. So Prabhupada said, no, I don't think we should follow that instruction. They actually brought that up to Prabhupada, They said, Tulsidas says beat a drum, beat a horse, beat a wife. Prabhupada said, no, these are devotees. You can't do that. So now, I have some news for all of you. All the young people already know this, but all your older people, like 35 and up, I have some news for you. The younger generation is democratic. They don't like dictators. So just because you're an authority and you say something, to them it's like, so what? Doesn't sound good to me. Let's talk about it. That's the younger generation. That's how they think. Why should I follow you? You don't necessarily know more than I. You should follow me because I'm authority, and that's our culture. But why should I follow you if what you say isn't right? That's the younger generation. So now, if you're a leader, you have to understand that's the mentality. Not that they don't want to follow, but they want to know why. And they want to throw in their opinion and they want to discuss it. Well, you have to do this. Well, I don't think that's the best way to do it. I don't think I'm the most qualified. Why don't we get so-and-so? He's better at it. And I can do this and I'm better at that. And so as a leader, you have to consider. It's not, your words may not be acceptable to everyone. And also, what we have to understand is, and this is happening in the corporate world, that a lot of the employees that are being hired now are smarter than the CEOs about, like, you're in charge of Google, but you don't know how to write code and do this and that. And these guys, they know more than you about certain things. So even in the corporate world, on high levels, the CEOs understand this principle, that I'm hiring people that in certain areas are smarter than me, right? So it's not because you become a leader, all of a sudden you have your IQ raises to like a 185 and you're smarter than everyone, It's not like that. So sometimes you have to listen, it's like, well, what do you think? And Prabhupada would do that. He'd be with his devotees, he'd say, so what I'm thinking, what do you think? You think this is a good idea? So even Prabhupada did it. So we have to be aware that a lot of younger people, they want to contribute. And also, the worst thing you can do is be a dictator to a person who's extremely smart. Because they're going to go out and do what they're going to do because they see it's the right thing. And if you don't let them do it, they'll just go out and do it anyway. So many companies could have been successful if they allowed their workers to follow through on ideas, but they didn't, and those workers left and started companies to compete. You know that? Yeah. So you can't, if someone is smart and has a lot of ability, let's facilitate them. Let's discuss with them. So being a leader also means you have to be humble enough to do that, to be able to listen. And that's where pride gets in the way. No, it's what I said, we have to do it. Now, obviously, in some cases, it has to go a certain way, and if they don't listen, it's a problem. But at least we should be aware of that when you say, I know, it's just this situation, can you just do that? And I go, no, I don't think. Well, we just need it today. Let's talk about tomorrow. And not every devotee is going to be that way, but some will be that way. And those people that will be that way are probably your future leaders because they're smart and they're thinking and they're questioning even you. They might be a better leader than you someday. You don't know that, right? So we have to consider these things. Yes? Yes? Is that okay? It's just, I was thinking yesterday, I was in a debate. We're having a debate now. It's an amazing debate about should women be allowed to give initiation. And so the debate's going, back and forth and this and that, and varnashram, swadharma, stridharma. Women shouldn't take a role, but we have Vaishnavi gurus, and it's going back and forth. And it's like, when you have these arguments, they go nowhere because nobody listens to one another. And I was thinking, this Krishna just dropped a thought in my mind, and the thought was, the best strategy is to be humble. Don't argue. Just be humble and go, okay, I may not know everything and I may not be so smart and maybe what I think is wrong and I want to try to understand your point of view and just be humble. It's always better. In the ultimate end, if you're humble, things will work out better, isn't it? Than if you're proud and you're fighting and, you know, Prabhupada said, no, Prabhupada said, no, right here Prabhupada said, no, Prabhupada said. You know, you have these Prabhupada said wars, you know, two completely different ideas. Very interesting, right? And so we were, you know, throwing punches, Prabhupada said punches, you know. As one godbrother said, Siddhanta wars. Maybe that'll be a new Bollywood movie. Siddhanta, instead of Star Wars, Siddhanta wars, you know. And the pundits are, you know, they're flinging shlokas and purports at one another, you know, attached to arrows. What about this shloka? And you read it. No, but Prabhupada said, what about this purport? You know, what about this shastra? So we're having Siddhanta wars, you know. Have you seen that? Siddhanta wars? Yeah. It'd be a great movie, right? Yeah. So that was the thought Krishna gave me. Just be humble. It's always you can't lose by being humble. It's a great strategy. So even your leader, you're not going to lose by being humble. You're not going to lose by listening. Actually, I was listening to one of the greatest corporate strategists and corporate trainers. And you know what he said? It was amazing. He said, if you're a leader, you have to learn humility. He said, why? Because if you're humble, you will listen, and you need to be able to listen to people. Because sometimes people have good ideas, and you don't. You just have to admit it sometimes, right? So here's this big American 75-year-old corporate trainer guru, super famous, saying, actually what he said is the greatest quality of a leader is humility, because you have to listen. And you know, in Vedic times, the kings listened to all the complaints. They didn't go, you're complaining, out of my kingdom. Next flight out, never come back. No, they listened. Look what Ramchandra did, because people were complaining. So, yeah, this is a challenge. If you become a leader, it's a challenge to be a leader and be humble. It's really not easy. I have experience. I was made a president at the age of 20. A temple president, a Hare Krishna movement temple president, age of 20. 20-year-olds are puffed up. If you give them anything, they get puffed up. So I'm well aware of your dilemma. No, I said it, I'm the president, do it. It worked in 1970. They had to. Prabhupada said, do whatever your president says, since everybody just did it. But even though Prabhupada said that now, not everyone's going to do that. And we have to deal with it practically. Yes? Anything else? Yes, Prabhu. Well, this devotee says, is it wrong to have aspirations to lead Bhakti Vriksha? No, if you're qualified. That's a good... Yes, you should want to lead Bhakti Vriksha. You should want to have so many aspirations to serve, if it's for the right reason. Should you have aspirations to lead anything? If it's for the right reason, yeah. Not so you get a position and title and you can put on... Like I have a business card, but all it says is Mahatma Das, and there's nothing under it. I need a position so I can write something on my card. And then I'll hand, oh, welcome to the temple, here's my card. I'm the, official, whatever. That's not why we want position, so we can put it on our card, right? That's a problem. If you want a position because it gives you prestige within the society, that is a problem. Trinadapi sunichena. I don't want any position. I want to raise other people up. I want to honor them. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, during the shloka, the last one, Brahmaneshu Karmasumi.
Yeah. Yes. I saw that also. He's asking, Prabhupada's saying in the purport, don't be a grihamedhi, be a grihastha. And here in this verse, the word grihamedhi is used, and Prabhupada translates it as in the household. So I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but I can speculate that maybe we have Sanskrit scholars here, that this is the right word for this verse, but it doesn't indicate sense gratification, but it's being used as grihamedhi is the word for in the house. and grihastha would not work in that context. We have anyone who knows Sanskrit who could deny or confirm that? That's my, I mean, I can't say I'm a Sanskrit scholar, but that's my, if it was give an answer or die, that's the answer I would give. Otherwise, it's easier to say I don't know. But it's interesting that Prabhupada talks about grihamedi, but in the verse he talks about grihastha, but in the verse it's grihamedhi. And so that's my, and therefore, but what we can say also is, because that's in the verse, Prabhupada plays off it and says, no, we want to be grihastha. So he doesn't overlook it. But to me, that's the proper Sanskrit word that would be used in this connotation, that they lived in grihastha life. But medhi means center, but it may mean other things. And that's the best I can offer. But it definitely is not, in the translation of word for meanings, it's not that they, we know they weren't in Maya, so it can't mean that, right? So it doesn't indicate that. Anything else? Now all the men are thinking, I was thinking of getting married, but I don't think I will, because I'm not supposed to be the boss, and my wife is not going to serve me like a flight attendant on an airplane, where I press the button and I get whatever I want. So maybe I should stay brahmachari. So yeah, that's something to consider. Gentlemen, if you're not married and you want to get married, the bad news is you will have to become the servant of your wife and children. Don't think you'll ever become God, not even as a married man. It doesn't work that way. The goal is not to become God. The goal is not to become the boss. The goal is to become the servant. So when you get married, your duty is to serve, never the boss. Right? And if you fight that, your wife will fight back. And she'll make you realize, no. You are the protector. You're meant to protect me. You're meant to provide for me. You're meant to take care of my needs. That's your service as a husband. Okay, so for those of you who were not here yesterday or on Wednesday, we have a table there with my book on japa and some CDs from my workshops. I do many workshops. And if you are interested, I brought them. Yes, this is this book. This is so hard for me to say because it's my book. And how can I say it's good? You know, and I just talked about being humble. So I will humbly say it's good. No, I won't say that. I will humbly say that people who have taken this book have told me they really appreciate it and it's really helped their japa. This is a book that will help your japa. We made a money-back guarantee. Yesterday we said, if this book doesn't help your japa in 1 week, we will refund double your money. It's 100 rupees. We will refund double your money. So I'm promising that this will help your japa. Definitely will help your japa. I promise you that. And otherwise, I give you my email. You send me. Mahatmadas.com is my website. You just find my address there, and I will refund you double your money back. Is that a good deal? Yeah. So you'll like this book. I promise it'll really help you. And if you like, I can sign it. And then these are CDs with like 15 to 30 hours of workshops. And this is on relationships. This is on women, men, and sexuality, the culture of male-female. This is on vows, and this is on marriage. And these are 100 rupees, and this is also 100 rupees. And thank you. It's nice to be here. My first time in Hyderabad. We came here because my daughter studies Bharatanatyam, and there's a lady that lives here that spent time in our city in America, and she was my daughter's dance teacher. And she invited us to come here, so we're in Mayapur, and we came here. And, previously I was in Bangalore. My family came from Mayapur, so we spent a week here. We're leaving tomorrow. And my daughter's studying Bharatanatyam and music also. So that's why we're here. Nice to be here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.